you listen and you care.
I appreciate
it's
that.
It's an absolute skill set that a lot of people don't have. And I was always wondering how you do it and make like George Santos as interesting as FG Butta.
Wow.
You know what I mean? No, but but I was wondering how you do that, and now I get it.
Okay.
You look people in the eye. You're like, it's just you've got beautiful blue eyes. You got lost in. It's amazing.
Oh my
thing.
God. No,
the overalls are killing it. Everything's happening. Over here.
Yo, the overalls, for the record, first time wearing overalls since I think I was 5 years old. My girl heard me compliment this dude, Angry Reactions, who I interviewed.
Yeah.
I mentioned his overalls.
Yep.
She went and bought me overalls because that's what a good wife does. She buys you the thing that you mentioned one time and thinks you actually want it. But I will say that I think that's why interviewing feels kind of like intense and like draining and exhausting as a person, is because of the fact that I really want to be so locked in that like 99% of my attention is going straight to you, and only, there's always this little like framework of thinking about the fact that I forgot my food at home this morning or whatever, but like really trying to just be in the zone and focus on the person. Yeah.
And you can see that. And you also match the person's energy. Like, I'm a spaz. I'm I'm all over the place.
Oh, I love it. That's great.
People think I'm cracked out half the time. But you have a wonderful way of doing that, man. It's like, and it's talking. And if everybody can have a podcast, and everybody does, but they don't blow up like this. And the team you're surrounding yourself with, you are eliminating the middleman, 22ster. What you're doing is taking out the studio and taking out the record labels. And what's been interesting for me to watch is someone who's the product of that like multimedia conglomerate feeding people, Atlantic Records, it's gone now. So people find you, and you've got to be talented to do it. Anybody can just put up a mic and start talking, but to really just make this thing crack, this is the future. You are doing it now. I mean, you're probably hard to take, compliments. I'm not good at it, but dude.
No, thank you so much. It honestly means a ton. Yeah.
You're the best at it. So
thank you.
Anyway, for me to be here again is a total honor. So the first record comes out, doesn't do shit.
But okay, that one record though, how did you end up doing the other version of Fly?
Oh, okay, well, that Lemonade and Brownies came out, didn't do much. We were about to die, and I'll get to the Fly thing. And then we lobbed the most Hail Mary lob of all time to Howard Stern.
Right. Okay.
What are your Howard Stern feelings? I've heard you talk about him.
My primary influence throughout like junior high and shit. He would just listen to him all the time.
Especially on the East Coast, you could not do that.
Oh yeah.
Was there a station that brought you that where you were?
I think that, yeah, definitely. Because I was listening to it all throughout junior high and shit.
Because you got Boston stations from where you were, correct?
But it wasn't on WAAF. I think it was WBCN might have been the one that played him for a couple hours in the morning, yeah.
That was it. That was it for sure.
BCN. I haven't thought about them in 20 years.
Yeah, huge Howard Stern fan, especially in the 90s, And I don't know if you remember, but there was a band called the Meat Puppets. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of them. They were kind of a 90s alternative band, one of Kurt Cobain's favorite bands. They were going to record one of Howard Stern's songs called Psychedelic Beat.
From his band that he had before the radio.
Electric Comic Book when he was 8.
Right.
And they're non-songs. They're just garbage. And he goes, if any band out was there was smart, they'd record one of my songs and blah, blah, blah. And I, in the a broken clock is right twice a day, right? I had just one good idea that day, and I said, let's do that song, because the Meat Puppets were kind of delaying getting it out to them. We were on our final tour, dude. I cannot tell you how desperate it was. The first record was out. We were on the fence whether they were going to do another one, even though we sold about, we were moving some records, and you could tell there was something bubbling under. Rage Against the Machine was cracking, Korn was cracking, and we were kind of in that world, in that genre. But in America, we were playing in front of 3 people, driving 12 hours to play in front of 2 people. It was dark. It was gnarly. We knocked on a community college called Denver Community College, knocked on their studio and said, can we use your studio for an hour? And is there an engineer that can do this for free? And the guy goes, yes. So we recorded Psychedelic Bee, and we did a real thrashed out punky version of it, put it in a FedEx box, sent it to New York to our manager, Chip Quigley at the time, and forgot about it. We didn't have a cell phone back then, so the information traveled super slowly. We finally make it to our, this was on a Wednesday, we finally make it to the club in, I think it was Wyoming, on a Friday, and we pull into the club super early, and the manager of the club comes running out about 7 in the morning. Now at these clubs, Adam, there was no one there until like 6 p.m. that night because they weren't doing business. For someone to even be there was insane. He goes, you guys, you got to call your manager right now. Howard Stern is playing Psychedelic Bee nonstop. He's played it 8 times. He wants you guys in the studio on Monday, blah, blah, blah. We call our manager, and he goes, He was in New York. He goes, you're not going to believe it. He's dying over the song. He goes, Sugar Ray's the best band ever, blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
He goes, leave all your shit in Wyoming and get on a plane immediately. I go, we don't have any money. He goes, he puts down his credit card and says, get here. So we went to Howard Stern, Psychedelic Beat. We performed on the show. And back then, you're talking 20 million listeners a day. Syndicated all across the country. Atlantic Records, which is in New York, all the big wigs come down because somehow they got one of their bands on Howard Stern. He wouldn't just take anybody because, you know, they were doing promotion. If he didn't like you or want to be part of this, you were not going to get on there. So like the Stone Temple Pilots couldn't get on Howard Stern, but somehow we did.
Wow.
So all the big wigs came on. We crushed it for once in our lives. Howard Stern loved it. We had a great interview. And they say you can make a second record.
Wow.
And that second record led to Fly. So that's the way we got to Fly.
That's insane.
Do you still want to hear about the two versions of Fly?
Yes. But I think it's crazy that Fly ended up being the song that was so big that it was like you couldn't pay attention to anything else and completely drowned out the origin story that almost nobody remembers. Yeah.
For sure. You're right. That's a really good way. It almost went delete on the whole thing. So we're almost to this day continually telling the story of what we're about because Fly led to Every Morning, Someday, and When It's Over, and songs of similar vein. I got to tell you, you know, being in a band and touring in a van is really fun and great. Having a #1 fucking song, getting a platinum record from Ahmet Ertegun and Atlantic Records, flying in a private jet.
Right.
You've done this. It's really, really fun.
Well, I've never been on a private jet.
There's no
I'm
way,
working on
Adam.
it. One day.
That's your choice then. Have you been on a JSX flight?
Yeah. That doesn't count. It's like $600.
My last flight last week to Vegas was $1,200. They're starting to figure it out now. It's getting super crowded.
It's all about demand because if you try to go there during EDC, they're going to charge you $2,000.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap. But I can't believe you're on a private jet.
I know a lot of people who do the private jet thing. I was just like,
It's amazing.
I hate doing like the clout chasing. Like you have a famous friend, you follow them around, you get on their private jet. And for me, I'm a cheap fuck. I'm not getting a private jet.
I got you.
Hell no.
But first class is great. I mean, such a.
Right.
I'm still honored to be and stoked to travel that way.
Yeah,
trust me. After all these years, but like
I feel deeply uncomfortable about first class.
Walking in,
I feel like economy. I would rather save the $1,000.
You don't fly economy.
Sometimes.
Okay, when you went to Italy,
I'm not scared.
You did not fly.
No, I didn't. But I like to mix it in there still because it's a great way. It's like $1,000. Come on.